Record. I will do our basic recap and we will get back to motion here. Let me see. Helps if I have the right notebook. All right. So let's see here. Last session, it picked up with mud in the alleyway. I have had a horrible time speaking the past couple of days, so forgive me. And you were dealing with Izek, this large head of the town guard of Valakai. He looked like he was trying to instigate you a little bit, Mud, and get you going, maybe just itching to, for a fight, so per se. But Erwin, the patron of the Blue Water Inn, the old man who owns this place, came out, sort of interjected himself in between your conversation and got you to follow him back inside. And he mentioned to you not to really mess with Izek. He's a bit of a asshole, likes to kill people just for pleasure, and basically it's best avoided. Ultimately, you guys headed off to bed, got some full rest that you needed, everything's fresh. Got up the next morning, he chatted with Danica, she's the Erwin's wife, who's getting breakfast around, chatted with her a little bit, and then tried to decide what best to do. It seemed like the winery issues was the first thing on your minds, probably more than everybody else, and he was trying to avoid this whole mother issue anyway, so it made a good sense to go check out the winery, maybe make a little bit of coin, and not throw yourself right into the doorsteps of this per se mother. You headed on out. You stopped by the St. Andrew's Church to get a cart. You were stealing Ismark's cart, basically, since he didn't really need it anymore. Seeing what Irina was up to, she did mention to you much. She thanked you for healing her and making her feel better. Let's see, you had Father Lucien was there. He was talking to a small group of people, seemed rather concerned and worried about something. As he broke himself off from that group of people, Mud, you kind of directed him to the side and chatted with him a little bit. And you did notice that he was very, very agitated. He wasn't rude or anything like that, but he seemed to be very agitated, very worried about something. But he assured you everything was just fine. On the side, Dre went over and chatted with a young lady, Sylvia, and found out that her husband was one of Mother's sons. And she too was a part of this group, or these people in town who had a very dislike toward the burgomaster, Vargas, and how he ran the city. She mentioned to Dre that it would be much better if Mother took control, and her family had noble lineage anyway, and she would actually fight for these people and try and do something about them. That's Burgomaster Vargas was nothing really but a joke and a bully, using Izek, his henchman, there to control the town. He also had a whole bunch of bullshit festivals that he liked to run just because. Ultimately, Ismark seemed to be quite infatuated, on the other hand, with the Burgomaster Vargas, and was impressed in how happy all the people seemed to be, and with all these festivals that he was having. And he had scheduled up a meeting with Vargas to pick his brain and get some ideas on how better to run Barovia. And he was going to chat with him for the evening, stay one more night, and was headed back the next morning to Barovia. Irina has been staying at the church. She looked like she was in pretty good health this morning. It seems Father Lucien healed her up the best he could, and she's still banged up a little bit and everything, but she seems to be in good spirits and feeling much better anyway. Again, she thanked Mud and chatted a little bit before she headed down inside. She told everybody that she wished to at least pull her weight, so she was going to help get meals ready and help the people. From there, you guys headed on out of the road, past the Wachter House Gate and to the west. Headed out for a little ways, past a couple different roads, and then you came to the winery that you were looking for, the Wizard of Wine's winery. As you were looking over this, the whole place was covered in a pretty thick fog. It was a steady rain coming down, but it seemed like the further the day got, the more it was coming down. And as you headed down the road towards the winery, this old man off to the side of the bushes started waving frantically, trying to get you to come over and take notice. I believe Dre went up first, maybe. Somebody did, but he basically wanted to get everybody's attention and let you know that the winery has been overtaken by forest folk or evil druids of sorts. He introduced himself as Davian Mardukov, his daughter, daughter-in-law, Stefania, that was there. And the other person he didn't introduce, eventually Stefania mentioned that his name was Drag, though. And Drag looks a little not the smartest person of the bunch, doesn't really speak, but he's quite beefy and has a pretty nasty looking axe, so at least he's strong, probably. Davian pointed out that a couple of druids were in the winery fields, and he pointed to all these bundles of sticks. He claims that they are blights, that they are little humanoid monster things. To you guys, all they look like is piles of sticks. The old man is a little bit crazy, so you're not really sure how much to expect. But Stefani did indeed confirm that the winery was taken over by druids and blights, these humanoid plant-like creatures that they summoned. And she was going to create a distraction so you guys could get to the winery. We're going to retcon a little bit and back up just a hair to the start of this game to where she's still talking to you, so I can kind of make sure everybody's on the same page. And I think that is it. Anything anybody wants to add? No? Wonderful. Everybody is ready to die then, right? Yeah. All right, let me grab my pen. So to back up just a moment, all of you stand about 500 yards out from the winery. You're up on top of a bit of a knoll looking down onto the winery. The winery itself is a 2-story building, pretty large. It's very well kept, quite cottagey looking, cobblestones around it, thatched roof. It looks like a very quaint sort of home and much nicer and in better repair than pretty much anything you've seen here in these lands so far. And these 3 people that stand there, Davian, this old man who looks ancient by any standards, with his crooked staff, he's hunched over quite a bit, dressed in sort of these raggedy robes, little bits of jewels that hang off of them, pins and pendants and such. And then beside him, this younger girl, maybe in her mid-20s, Stefania, raven black hair, sort of graying on the sides a little bit. She looks, her facial features and her body looks younger, but she sort of looks weathered, or she's had a bit of a rough life, it seems. And then this other fellow who she introduced as Drag, who hasn't really said anything to this point, very large ears, looks sort of droopy in the face, but he's very well muscled, and he's sort of kneeled down, his knees on top of this axe that he's been carrying. And Davian has insisted of these creatures, and he points down at the winery, pointing out these small bundles of sticks. And he also pointed out 3 druids. Some of you could see them, some of you couldn't, as he sort of camouflaged himself amongst the vineyards and the buildings. And Stefania, look at the 4 of you. Well, what do you say? Should we get this under motion? I have a bit of a plan. I can at least help out a little bit. Yes. Which is to the west, and she'll point down to the side. You can follow the road down. This is on the western half of the building. It's a large overhead door over there where the wagon is. If you can get over there, the room that it enters is nothing but a bit of a storage room. It'll bar itself from the inside, so if any of these things seem to follow after you or try to get to you, you can get in and at least bar yourself out. They won't be able to get in. That also, I think, is the quickest way to get into the building without having to go around the back. So if the lot of you can head that way, Drag will go with you as well. Says I will create a bit of a diversion. Sit down yonder there, the pond. She'll point off to the eastern side of this building, sort of your guys' is right. The trees and the small grove there, the brushes, and the pond. Do you see that? She glance, and you can see where she's pointing. Doesn't look anything too fancy, just a basic little pond. Says, I have a few things down there. I create a diversion, yes, and when I do, if you can get it down there, just make a break for it. Says, I'll wait till you get to the wall. As you look down at this winery, A good 400 yards or so ahead of you is small copses of trees, brush, barrels, and scattered wagons and stuff. You'll have easy coverage all the way down there, all the way up to where there's a stone wall along either side of the road that stretches out in either distance for quite a way. It's about 4 feet in height. Once you cross that wall, it's pretty much just open field for 100 yards from that wall to the winery, besides a few little wagons here or there, or brushes and stuff, but certainly not enough to really hide or get cover by. She says, if they see you, then they'll come running, but I'll distract as many as I can, and then I'll meet you inside, okay?
Trey will give her a nod and just sort of move off towards the road to get into position.
Sounds like a plan to me. Do we want to try to say, like, we don't stop, we just keep going until we get to the building so we can bard, or do we want to just try to fight our way through? Like, or not fight, but you know, like, if we get caught is, like, I'm trying to plan for the worst case scenario here.
She says, let's get down by the wall and at least give me time to cause a distraction. You'll be able to see it. Trust me, you'll be able to see it. And once you see it, run like the wind, my friends.
Okay. I think Victor will move next to Dre and kind of get ready, making sure, like, anything noisy will be kind of secure and try to, you know, make it less noisy. Make sure important items are tucked away so they don't go flying out when he takes off running, and that's about it.
Drag will also kind of grab his axe. He doesn't seem like he has much else besides his clothes that he has on, just a basic leather armor. And he'll get ready to go as well. And she'll look over at Mornak and Mud. And good luck. And she'll turn towards this old man. Davian says, I know you wish to be a part of this, but just stay here. And he'll look at her. You can see he was getting ready to at least get up, look, maybe follow you guys or something. And she puts her hand on his shoulder and motions. She says, stay here, stay here. Once we get things secure, I'll send the others up to get you. But until then, just stay hidden. I know you wish to be a part of this, but if anything should go wrong, you're the only one that can get back to Irwin. And I understand the things between the two of you, but sometimes blood is more important. So stay here. And if all else fails, then go alert your son. And with that, she'll start pulling herself back into the brush and then disappears into the brush beside you.
I did hear that right. You said go to your son, right? Okay.
Mud and Mornak, what do you guys do? Are you headed out to?
Yeah, I guess we're going to try to sneak down towards the wall until we get told to go otherwise, right? Or get our, yeah.
Yeah, Mornak's going to go ahead and follow.
So as all of you take off, Drag will move behind you. He seems fairly agile and pretty quiet for the larger man that he is, but he'll follow along. And getting all the way down to this stone wall seems pretty simple for the most part. You don't really catch the attention of anything. Plenty of places to sneak behind and stay hidden. Once all of you get down along the wall, so put your backs up against it. The clouds above seem to be getting heavier and heavier, and the rain begins to come down a little bit harder. There's this bright flash of lightning, and when it shoots across the sky, it lightens up this whole field around you. Everybody give me a perception check. All I need is whoever has the highest.
I got a 10, so it's not me.
17 for me.
That beats me.
16.
Okay. So Mud, as you glance around, there's this bright flash of lightning through the sky. And your eyes catch the movement. You can see, from what you can tell anyway, there's 3 of these forest folk around the perimeters of the building that you can see. And all these bundles of sticks. You do notice that they seem to move a little bit, very slowly, very jerky like. But if you were to guess by how many you can see and how many you can see now that it's dimmed down a little bit, sort of dusk looking, perhaps 30, 40 of these things around. And all of you will wait, and Drag will grab a hold of your shoulder and kind of pull you back down where you were peeking over this wall, and he'll point off to the distance where Stefania made a motion. You can see this small greenish colored light. It gets brighter, it gets brighter, and then it just shoots off in the sky like a flare almost, and explodes almost in instant. You see all these small little twigs and bushes start to jerk, moving in that direction. These three forest folk that you can see, Mud, they too turn and start to jog in that direction. You'll see this huge flock of ravens just erupt out of this cove of trees around this pond, taking flight into the clouds above. Seems to be giving you a chance. Drag will sort of grab a hold and start pushing forward, motion across the place, this expansive field in front of you. The fog here is pretty thick, so that'll add a little bit of cover. But we will do this as a skill challenge. So, Victor, Mornak, Mud, and Dre, don't matter what way you guys do it, but tell me what you do to help each other get to this place safely.
Actually, if you don't mind, I'll start. I was going to do this on one person, but if it'll work for everybody, since it's a skill challenge, I was going to use my prayer to chill the fog and thicken it.
Okay.
So that way it's harder to see through, which gives everybody a boon on any stealth checks.
Oh, nice. All right. Why don't you give me... I'm going to say a will challenge roll. Give yourself a boon.
Unnatural 20.
All right. Beautiful. So as you thicken up this fog, it seems to almost crystallize in the air, hanging, moving a little bit slower. All of you will be able to slink down a little bit as Mud starts to crawl forward. Drag behind him, and everybody pulls themselves over top of this wall and gets ready to make a break for this winery. Who would like to go next?
Well, sadly, I don't have access to my original character sheet, so I tried to make the best one I can, but I forgot the, I know I have a couple of professions there, but if you're okay with it, because I do have the Expert Path Ranger, I would like to use that to help us pick the quietest trails to go on versus just running through the open brush or the fields.
All right. How about a perception check and give me one boon with that?
Okay. Now I get a natural boon when I do perception checks. Do I get to add that in?
Yep, you're going to have a boon from the perception. You're going to have a boon from Mud's prayer as well.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure how many I'm rolling. Ooh, okay. How about a 23?
Beautiful. So you'll see Victor sort of take the front of this in front of you, Mud, and he points out a route between a few different wagons, but it's noticed most of the ground through here seems to not quite catch this frost, so it won't crinkle under your feet, but it still has the edge of this fog that you manipulated a bit, giving it a nice sort of quiet path, at least a little bit. You see the fog in the distance thickens up more and more, and it almost looks like it's just rolling in towards this winery. Who would like to go next? Mornak, Dre?
Dre will probably go last. He's not exceptionally quiet. He's just quieter than most.
Okay.
Famously average.
So that puts it on Mornak's shoulder. How do you help these folks make it to the winery safely?
Well, I think what Mornak's going to do is actually cast.
Okay.
And he's going to cast Sense Thoughts in a sphere of a 10-yard radius. He's just going to try and connect with any of these druids that are around, just to detect where exactly they are.
Gotcha. All right, give me a, I'm going to say intellect. So give me an intellect challenge roll. Give yourself a boon from his prayer.
21.
Beautiful. As you move forward, you don't detect anything quite. And then you'll hear some of the thoughts. It's of this strange gluttural language you don't quite recognize, but you can definitely tell that it's this primitive sort of voice. Glance around, you'll see one of these forest folk. His back is up against a wagon that you're getting ready to pass by. It looks like he's had a little bit too much wine to drink, but he doesn't. If you would pass a little bit close, he'd certainly notice you. Someone, or Mornek, you're able to kind of motion to where this is and get everybody to skirt out and around a little bit. Then you hear something else, Mornek. You hear a familiar voice. And you look around. This thick fog seems to be rolling in all around you. You can hear a voice. You can't make out the words. It sounds maybe a little confused or strange. What do you do?
I'm going to go ahead and stop and see if I can just hear it a little bit more.
And you will. You'll glance around. You can see the others keep moving a little bit. And as you take that moment of hesitation, look around. Mud, is you scurry forward along with Victor. You'll see that Mornak slowed a little bit behind you, but seems to be, getting ready to move once again. But you'll see you've caught the notice of 5 of these blight things so far. They're maybe 20, 30 yards out to your right, but they're scurrying across the ground in your direction. You've got about 50 yards before you can reach this winery. And off to the side, Mornek, you'll sort of glance over your shoulder, this thick fog rolling in. You can see a form, not very tall. These curling horns that come back from its skull. That looks, maybe, can't tell if it's on the ground maybe, or crawling towards you. It's hard to tell. And then you hear that voice again. You hear Vasily. You look through this thick fog. Yes, you can definitely see him in this fog.
Guys, there's Vasily. Shh. Victor.
And yeah, Victor, if you stop and maybe catch Mud as he mentions this, you all look over, you can definitely see Vasily in the mist as he's almost like pulling himself through it like a thick sort of soup.
Who among us is closest to him?
Closest to
Mornek.
Let's see. You would be the lead, so Mud, Mornak, and Dreg is up here. So both Mud would be just in front of him, and Dre would just be behind him.
Okay. How close are we together? Like, can we whisper without alerting everyone?
You were probably within 5-6 yards, so yeah.
Okay. Victor's going to say basically to the other two, get him back. Don't let him wander off. We know this isn't part of the plan. But he's trying to say it quietly, but his voice is starting to escalate just a little bit.
Ha ha, fiends! After all this time hiding in mist, you deign to show your face. So be it! And he just stands up and just starts waving his fists around and starts casting some sort of spell, just surrounding himself with arcane energy, and a suit of magical armor forms around himself.
Beautiful. And yes, you all will see Vasily as he pulls himself from these mists. There's actually, I got to roll, so you glance around, Mud, actually everybody, besides him coming from the mists, 5, 7, you'll see 8 of these twig blights. Most of them are all moving off towards this explosion in the distance, but there are 8 blights coming towards you. And with that, we will enter initiative. You're about 50 yards away, be about 3 movements away from the winery. Who
Victor
would like
is.
to go?
Well, I just got to throw this out there really quick. Like, Victor is ecstatic that his imaginary goat friend is back, but then also, like, terrified because his imaginary goat friend's back. So it's like, he's very tormented right now.
I've had enough of your games. Let's play.
Good to see you, bud.
Perfect. Who would like to go fast? These blights will be within short range of you, coming towards you.
We rolling initiative or?
Nope, fast or slow.
Oh, that's right.
Victor's going to go fast.
Gotcha.
Bud is going to go fast.
Gotcha.
Is Dre still, I don't know, partially hidden behind the wall? Am I in a position where no one's aware of me?
I imagine you would be following out. I mean, I guess it's up to you. Were you waiting for them to totally go, or were you at least staying close by? Because they're about halfway, so I guess it's in your hands.
Dre will go slow.
So, and sorry, Morgan, I am actually going to go slow, not fast.
Gotcha.
Get out.
And I'm going slow.
And Vasily, fast or slow?
Able to get a surprise round casting of mage armor off?
Yeah.
I'm going to go fast.
Okay. Alrighty then. That puts Victor. You would be up first. These things are within short range, so you'd have to move if you're looking to get into melee with them, or if you're just running, or whatever you want to do. But they're about 10 yards away from you, moving towards you.
Well, hence why Victor was asking the question. He's going to do what we talked about. He's heading straight for that building.
All right.
He's if they're in the way, he's running through them, not attacking. Just going to run straight to that building. So,
all right, he'll be able to move to do 20 yards ahead. Gotcha. And Vasily, you'll see Victor just keeps running.
I don't see anything except these blight creatures in front of me.
All right, you are up then.
I say, "May Umbra take you!" And I start spitting out these horrible words, and this inky pool of darkness appears in front of me. It's like I'm pulling this shadow creature with multiple legs up out of it, and I summon a shadow monster.
Nice. Does that go on your turn, or is it going to enter a separate initiative?
It doesn't say specifically. I would imagine it's just separate, unless I can find differently.
All right. I'll just say it goes on your turn just to make it easy. So, yeah, it'll be up after you then. So, what would you have it do?
It's just going to charge and run at the nearest one.
All right. Go ahead and make an attack for it.
So it's a medium monster.
Let's see.
17. It's a +3, so that's a dirty 20.
Yep, that's a definite hit.
Oh, and even attacks with a boom. So I didn't even... And it does 6 points of damage with these shadowy claws that it just rends into the nearest one.
Nice. Yeah, it'll just tear this thing, no pun intended, but limb from limb per se, as it just tears apart this one that's in the front of the group. All the 7 that are left sort of meld together. They're staying close next to each other as they swarm forward. And actually, I will just have them attack this thing since it's right there. Let's see. I got a 19 to hit it.
Its defense is 13.
Okay. And damage to it, is going to be 10. And they'll just swarm over this thing, swiping at it with these sharp, limmy sort of claws and tearing into it the best they can, looking to just basically overroll this thing and keep merging forth towards all of you. And that will be the end of the fast. Over to slow. Dre, you would be up first. You have no idea who this folk is, so this guy who others seem to know has shown up. So it's up to you what you do with that.
Sure. I'm a little confused. Am I seeing this guy fight blights, or am I seeing him create more chaos?
Probably a little of both. You will see him as he comes from the fog and summons up this shadowy creature that is attacking the blights.
Okay. Sure. I might not attack anything then, because I've kind of got a position of hidden advantage. And is it possible to continue skirting the wall and I guess trying to make as much distance between this weird horned guy who's creating inky black creatures and the blights as possible, and try to get back around to the rest of the guys with some solidarity in numbers?
Okay. Yeah, if you can basically just take its dash in that sense and make a double move to catch up to them, just kind of staying out of the way of the blights and this new fellow.
Yeah, I'll do that. And then when I get to the party, I'm just gonna. Who's the slowest? Who's the person that's probably at the back?
Mornak would be. Yep.
Sure. I'm just gonna grab Mornak by the scruff of the neck and shove him and say, "It's time to run, boy."
Nice.
Nice.
And Mornak, that would be you next.
Okay. I want to go ahead and cast Arcane Armor.
Okay.
So
Andre,
that gives
thanks.
me nice try. So that gives me a +2 to defense.
It might come in handy.
And then I'm just going to try and run straight for the building.
Sweet. So yeah, you can take off. You'll be able to keep up with Victor then, and Dre as he's shoving you forward. You can see the others take off for this winery in the distance. Mud. Dre coming up behind and shoving Mornak ahead as well. Vasili's off to your left, maybe 10 yards away, controlling this shadowy monster. It looks like him and sounds like him, but as far as Mud knows, it's up to you. What do you do?
So, just for a visual here, the way I'm seeing this in my head is we're moving down towards the entryway. To our left, Vasily, and just past him is now this mob of creatures attacking again. Which, I love the fact that you said they all kind of just came together as one. Because Mud's going to take a few steps next to Vasily, and all the air starts to crystallize around him as he fires off an ice blast, which is a cone that hits everything within range.
Okay.
They need to make agility challenge rolls for half the damage.
Oof, no natural one. They fail that heartily. They seem to be clearly distracted by this shadow monster.
Shadow monster fails.
So 6 and 5 plus 2. So that's 13 coming from the cone of just jagged shards. The basically all the fog around them is starting to crystallize and grip into them and kind of permeate instant frostbite.
Beautiful. This blast will go off, covering across this inky, shadowy creature that seems to be forming itself in the fog. These small, bushy blights that crawl over it. When you get a little bit closer, Mud, to see these things, and Vasily, since you're next to him as well, you can see they look like bushes, sort of. You can see rotted old limbs and branches and shrubbery make up the most of it, but it's all held together by sinewy flesh and rotting bits of meat and bone that seems to tie these things together. And in the skull, it was not really a skull per se, sort of the branches make up the shape of a skull that's on their shoulders. But they all have the lower jaw area would be missing, but you can see instead just this heavy knot of wood in the back of their mouths. As they scurry forward, you're going to end up taking out 5 of these things with your blast, Mud, and you'll see all of this crystallized plant sort of covers them in ice for a second, and then it turns that sickly brown color as they crumble to the ground. There's 2 still left.
Would I recognize that as the same that knot of wood from the very beginning that I pulled out of one of the zombies?
You most certainly would.
All right.
Shadow monsters also spread off into shredded wisps of shadow and dissipates.
The 2 that are left will be continuing to scurry forward. You still have a move action, Mud. Are you moving?
Well, I had moved up next to Vasily and kind of put myself in between the creatures in order to make that blast.
Nice. All right. So that will be end of the round. Then we'll have Victor, Dre, and Mornak. You guys are about 20 yards ahead of the others as you're running forward. Behind you, Mud blasts off this cone of cold. It lights up the whole area for a moment, and this cold, bitter feeling around you. You can feel the air just sucked in for the moment. And everything goes dark. There's still 2 more of these things scurrying forward. You look around, Mud and Vasily. You can see in the distance, some of them have stopped and sort of are looking your direction. You can see one of these druids too, and he begins barking out this order. They're almost halfway away, so they're probably about 100 yards, but you'll see one of the druids and a whole mob of these things running back towards you. They're basically 3 moves away, so they're not an immediate threat right now, but they definitely noticed you now with this spell going off. So, who would like to go fast?
How close are these to us?
Those ones are about 100 yards away, so it'd be far distance. They're quite a ways away yet. They're just...
I mean, these 2. Yeah.
Oh, these 2, they're going to be right there in close combat right beside you.
I'll go fast.
How close are we to the house? Like how many turns away?
Victor, Dre, and Mornak, you guys are 2 turns away. Well, basically, the next turn you'd get up to the door, and then you'd be in on the next turn after that.
So, to clarify, if I do a slow action, I can move up to the door and open said door, correct?
Correct, yes.
Okay, then Victor will go slow.
Victor, slow. I'm sorry, Vasily, did you say fast or slow?
Fast.
Gotcha.
Dre will go slow.
Dre, gotcha.
Mornak's going slow.
Gotcha.
I will also go slow.
And Mud, gotcha. All right, Vasily, you are up first then, as you're the only one acting fast. You'll see the other 3 as they run ahead. You'll recognize everybody except for this other fellow who suddenly joined them, but
I haven't
otherwise,
even seen them yet. I just see these things in my face. Would you say I'm obscured in shadow or in darkness?
Yes, definitely.
Okay. So I raise my hand, and coalescing out of my hand is this long blade made completely out of darkness, and I charge straight at the one nearest me, and I take a slash at it.
And I will actually slow the, I'll thicken the air around that creature to give a boom to Vasily.
Ooh, okay, good. That gives me a 13 then.
Right on the money.
And since I'm in darkness, I do an extra d6 damage. So I do 8 points of damage.
Right. You'll be able to just kind of cleave right through this thing with your shadow blade, severing it in half, and it'll drop to the ground again, just decaying into this gloopy pile of old plant life. And you'll see one of those hard knots of wood roll forth from the skull. There's one left right there, but since you're right there, Vasily, he's going after you. Ooh, that's going to be a nat 20, and his boon is a 24.
Yep, that is.
He does not do anything on a nat 20, though, so it doesn't matter. And just 2 points of damage. As he sort of swipes across, grazing across your arm. You can see without all of his compatriots, it's not too much of a issue, but the other ones are in the far distance, definitely running in. He went down to slow. Let's see. Dre is the fastest one of the group there, so Dre, you were up first.
I will. Is Mornak like hating what I sort of said to him before as I gave him a little shove, or is he still just staring googly eyes at the insanely weird-looking goat man?
Well, Mornak's like not really paying attention to anything. He's just running as fast as he can.
Okay, cool. So if Mornak's running, I see Mud sort of sticks behind with the goat man, and I'm going to put two and two together and think, well, man, okay, maybe these guys know each other. So I'll kind of put myself in between the two parties of Mornak and Victor running ahead, and Mud and Vasily staying behind, and try to stop anything from getting in between them, cut their retreat off.
Gotcha.
I don't know if I could like ready an action with a spear to stop anything from
Yep.
charging at me.
Totally. So if they come in range, you can definitely fire off. You can see this two druids and this whole group of blights swarming in your direction, but they're still about 60 yards out, so they're not too close yet, but they're moving quick.
And I'll relay this information to Mud and the goat man.
Alrighty. So yeah, Mud and Vasily, you guys will notice Dre's kind of the stopgap in between the two of you. Up ahead, Victor and Mornak are just running full speed towards this winery. That would put Mornak up next.
Okay, he's going to go ahead and stop. And so this other evil druid, I'm going to go ahead and do an explosive darts and just kind of throw those over there. And so each dart is doing 1 damage to him.
Okay.
And then they explode for 3 points of damage. And they can take half damage on an agility challenge roll.
All right. How many darts is it?
3.
So 3 darts. So they're going to take 3, and then agility fails. So let's see. 3, and then what was the explosion damage?
3.
3, got it.
3 each dart, or
no, I think it's just 1.
And the darts explode. Yeah, the way it's worded, it's just basically all rolled as 1. So yeah. All right, cool. You'll see as several of these twig blights sort of explode off to the side of this druid from the shrapnel that comes off of these darts. He takes a few steps back from the blow, and you can see this smoldering on his chest. Puts his head down, though, and continues to run towards you. As he comes into the light a little bit, you can see these heavy rags that hang off of him, and he has sort of this goat-like skull across his head, sort of like a helm of some sorts. Looks more like a warrior, sort of primitive man. And then you still have your move action. Are you just taking off still towards the winery?
Yes.
Gotcha. So you will make it up to the door. Victor, you would be up now.
Okay. Victor, of course, is dashing to the house. Which way does it look like this door opens? Does it open like inward or does it open outward?
Opens inward.
Okay.
And she mentioned that there was a bar on the inside, so you could bar the door.
Okay. So I will definitely open said door, and as I'm like stepping through, if I have enough movement, like drawing the great sword, getting ready for anything hostile inside. But other than that, basically waiting there, kind of keeping watch inside, but also waiting for the other members to come in, so that way I could shut the door immediately and get ready to bar it.
Nice. You'll see Drag come up behind you, and he sort of grabs you across the shoulders, Mornek, and shoves you forward as well. Inside this room, it looks like it's about a 10 by 15 little storage room. There's another door that exits out of this room into the further half of the building, but the room you're in is just a little storage shed, sort of closet. A couple of old barrels in there and some corky materials and stuff like that. Nothing too fancy, but no danger. So yeah, Drag will shove you in with him, Mornak, as you stand at the door, Victor. And that puts Mud up. You're still 2 movements away from the winery. You look over your shoulder. From what you can count, there's 17 of these blights and 2 druids coming towards you.
But there's only one nearby, real nearby, right?
Yes. Yes.
And how far is that away from Vasily?
The one is 30 yards. All the rest are 60 yards.
All right. So I will yell to Vasily. Oh, okay. That one's 30 yards away. So that's not even within the range. So I'll just yell to Vasily, get inside. We can take them at the choke point. And I will actually cast shock on the closest one.
Okay.
And so out of the fog nearby, just little tiny shards of lightning kind of hit him from every direction. So I make a will against his agility.
This is the barbarian fellow. His agility is an 11. So yep, hit.
All right. So he takes 5 damage. And also, just to throw out there, the space for the short range in between us and them is difficult terrain because of that ice blast.
Oh, okay.
And then I will turn and use one movement running towards the door.
Gotcha. So you will meet up where the Dre is. And these other things are all just taking a movement action to get closer. So yeah, they're all just you'll see the 17 blights that you can see in the distance, and this one druid. I'll catch up to the druid that you just, or this berserker, anyway, whatever he is, that you just struck, Mud, who seems to be slowed down a little bit and takes a few steps back. But again, they all start charging forth, looking to try and sort of cut you off from the building or separate you all. They sort of take an angle off to the side. But yeah, there's 2 druids and 17 blights that are going to be 30 yards away from all of you now. Well, except for Vasily, who's back a little bit. So that's the end of the round. Who would like to go fast or slow?
There's one blight still by me.
Yes, one blight, yes.
Well, he's still like 30 yards away from Vasily, right?
Oh, nope, there is one on Vasily right now. There's still one left there.
Well, that's the one I was casting the shock on. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. Gotcha,
Yeah,
gotcha. So in that case, Vasily, no, that one is dead. He shocked it. So it's just the druids and the blights in the distance that are nowhere near you, really. Yeah, anyway.
All right, I'll go fast.
Gotcha.
I'll go fast.
Gotcha.
Dre will go slow.
Yep.
Victor will also go slow.
Yep.
Mud will go slow. Can you hold an action in this? Like,
yes.
okay. So I will go slow.
Okay. And let's see. So Vasily and Mornak, Vasily, you are up first then.
So Mud, is that you, Mornak? And what's happening?
Come along. We'll figure it out.
And I start running off to where Mornak is at.
Right. As you take off, then Mornak, you can feel drag grab you by the shoulders and shove you into this room. So you're safe for the time being, but what would you like to do?
I actually want to move to this doorway, and then now, is that druid guy within long range for me?
Yes.
Okay, then I'm going to cast an unerring darts.
Perfect.
And this one does 7 darts and 1 damage per dart, and they hit automatically.
Automatically. Gotcha. Oof. Perfect. So you'll see 6 of these darts at least blast into it as he falls over. This one other dart spins off into a blight or a pair of blights behind him, but you will take out that druid that was running in the front with those. He'll hit the ground in this sort of grunt, and behind him, one of these blights will explode from your last dart that you had off too. So there's 16 left.
Okay. And then I also want to say, Vasily, what the hell happened to you? Where have you been?
I've been in mist and shadow being taunted for what seemed like ages. Surprised you all look exactly the same as I remember you.
It's barely been a day.
A day? Bah! I've been gone for... I don't know how long I've been gone.
That will put Dre up. You will see Vasily take off, past you, Dre catching up to the others. As Drag and Mornak disappear into this building, Victor still stands at the door. Mud is coming up behind yet. The blights and the druids are 30 yards away from you, trying to cut off you. I guess they would be cutting off you and Mud at this point if they get there in time. And you muted.
Perfect. Would I be able to delay an action and just see what Mud does?
Yeah, totally. Swap it over to Mud. What does Mud do?
All right, so Victor, Mornak, and Dre are at the door, or inside the door.
Correct.
Vasily went first.
He's just a little ways out, but he's running towards the door, yes. Dre is in
yet. I'm still with you, Mud.
Yeah. Drag is there, but Dre, apparently those names, is in between you and...
All right, so I'm kind of going to do similar to Dre. I'm going to keep moving for my one action.
Okay.
And then turn and prepare a spell if they start to catch up to us. And I will, if they start to get too close to us, I will fire off another ice blast.
All right. With your move, you will catch up to Dre. Vasily, you would be making it up to the doorway. So that puts Dre and Mud. You guys are right there. It's basically up to you. You can see these blights and druids are coming across. At this point, if you don't run for it, they're definitely going to catch up to you. But if you do run for it, then you won't have a chance to get off any spells or anything. It'd be your choice. Because you both actually essentially have one action left, including the move, which would have to be either another move to make it or an action to cast a spell or whatever.
Well, if everybody else is in or close, I will take up the rear, and anybody who's still kind of meandering near the door, I will just crash into them. Use my size to get everybody in.
All right. In that case, Dre, you can either engage these ones coming or take your last action to get to the door.
I'll bring up the rear, and I see Victor at the door, ready to pull the door and bar it, and I will help him with that.
All right. So as all as you rush in, you can feel these blights hit your heels, Mud and Dre, as they come up a couple scrapes across your ankles, and it's like a swarm of small animal, like a beast, that are just crawling across the ground, these tendrils sprouting across as they clamber after you. Behind them, these two druids will charge ahead as well. One of them will launch a javelin that spins just to the side of your head, Mud. You can feel it graze your cheek a little bit as it digs into the side of the building. Everybody will crash into this room. Victor, give me I guess Dre's helping you too, so Victor, give me an agility check with a boon, since he's helping to get this door shut in time.
And I will actually turn around and, as I fall to the ground, wave my hand and kind of heavy the air up and try to push it with them and give a boon to Victor.
So with 2 boons, Victor.
Yeah, that's not a good roll, but just throwing this out there, you kind of did skip me, but basically my turn was going to be standing at the door, waiting for everyone to get inside and shut it and then bar it, but I rolled an 8. So...
Even with the boon?
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, your action would be the same anyway. So you'll grab that as everybody piles in. You quickly grab the bar on the side and swing this door shut. Everybody can hear it slam shut as you drop the bar down and turn. Mud, give me a 1d6 roll, please.
6 for the 3rd time.
So as you turn and you give this thing a wave, you'll notice 6 of these blights scurry through the door. You can see bits and pieces of limbs snap off of them as they pull themselves through before you get this fully shut. All of you are in this 10 by 15 room with 6 blights. Who would like to go fast?
The 6 just worked out so well earlier.
No, he's going to go fast.
Gotcha.
Yeah, they're right in their face, so we don't have to move, right?
Nope, they're right there, yeah.
I do have a question, though. If we do a slow action, does that mean we get to attack twice?
Nope. One of the actions has to be a move or a move equivalent action.
Ah, okay.
All right.
So,
Then, oh, go ahead. Sorry.
well, I was just going to say fast.
Gotcha.
Go fast.
I do have a follow-up to that, since I did just as I described it, slam down to the ground as I fell in. Do I need to use a move action to get up?
Yes, you would, because you'd be considered
So-
prone.
I will be going slow.
So Dre, Victor, Mud, Vasily.
I go fast.
Gotcha. Who am I missing? Mornak.
Mornak will go fast.
Gotcha. Do. And these plates in the middle. Gotcha. Dre. Yeah, Dre, you will up first then. These things are going to be right there packed into this room with you, so they're like close.
I'm going ham. I'm going to just attack with my spear at the nearest one.
Alrighty.
Oh my goodness, that is not good. That is a 14.
I believe that's right on the money. Actually,
Oh, baby!
13, so defense is 13, so yep, that's a hit.
Beautiful. Let me do some damage. 9 damage.
Sweet. Describe how you take one of them out.
It's very precise. It's just feet firmly planted, sort of back against the wall, and then using my inertia from spinning after closing the door and just putting a spear straight through it. Pulling the spear out and then getting ready to fend off or attack the next one that I see.
Yes, you can feel this tip of your spear just tear through the branches and foliage of this thing's skull. When you pull it out, you can see this knock of hard wood, sort of like the size of an apple, fall onto the ground from the end of your spear. Next fastest one, Mornak, you would be up next.
I think since we're so close to these things, I'm going to actually try and hit one with my staff.
Yeah, ready.
That's going to be a 13.
Yeah, that is a hit.
Okay. Damage will be 5.
Sweet. Go ahead and describe how you take yours out.
I'm going to hold Mornak's going to hold the staff almost like a baseball bat and just swing it down and hit this thing right on the head.
Branches, foliage crackles under the weight of your staff as it crumples to the ground, again just turning into this rotting sort of foliage and old flesh and bones. Next fastest would be Vasily. You would be up next.
What's the light level in here? Is it shadow darkness?
Nope, it's lit up. It has sconces and a lantern, so yep.
So 18 to hit.
Yep.
And it does 6 points of damage.
Go ahead and describe yours.
Well, with my Nightfall blade, I just come in and swipe through it like it's not really even there. I'm just like I'm swinging in the air in front of me and just parts right through the middle of it, cutting it straight in half and falling into a bunch of weeds and thickets.
Nice. And Victor, you would be up next.
Alrighty, Victor's going to attack the nearest one to him. And as he's swinging down his greatsword, he's going to shout out, "You are my prey." And, oh god, I rolled a 6, so Victor's going to miss.
It'll scrape aside your great sword, just digging into the floorboards next to you. A chunk of wood goes flying out. Victor. And these things are up. Since you are on the ground, Mud, they naturally are just going to swarm you. Let's see. First one is a 17. Next one is a 18. Last one is a 14. You're muted.
The 14 does not hit.
The other two do.
Yes.
Ooh. 5.
No, I'm sorry. The 14 does hit.
Does it? Okay. So in that case, 5, 6, 7, 8. You take 14 damage as these things scrabble over you. They begin to dig their claws into you. When they do so, you can everybody around can see these roots from their fingertips start to grow across the inside of Mud's skin as they just rip them free, bits of flesh coming with it and skin. Yeah, that'll be it for them. Mud, you are up.
So they're all kind of just ripping
Swarming
into
over
me.
top of you. Yep.
So I'm going to force myself to my feet and just kind of throw my hands out, and shards of ice from all my wounds just kind of start coming out. That will heal me, but will also, they have to make a success on a strength challenge or take 1d6.
Let's see. Fail, pass, and fail. So 2 of them will be taken.
3 damage.
Gotcha. Oop, they're both going to survive it.
And anybody watching will see, like, just out of the open wounds, jagged shards of ice will come out and then kind of come back, and the wounds will frost over.
Nice. And with that, as a couple of them fall off of you, this other one lets go. I'm going to use a little special ability here. So you'll see them all clamber off of you, and they'll just start scurrying around like crazy. You'll see one crawl up the side of the wall, and 2 of them crawl up the wall and onto the ceiling up above. And you can see these long thorns start to grow out of their body. The ceiling is 15 feet above, so unless you have reach of some sort, they are out of melee range. Who would like to go fast?
I will go slow.
I'll go fast.
There's no way to actually get up there, like walking normally, correct, to get into melee?
Nope.
Okay.
Unless you had spider climb or something with sword, but
Fast as well.
Actually, I'll go fast.
gotcha.
I'll go fast as well.
Just
There's what? 3 left, right?
3 left. Yep. 2 of them are injured pretty bad, and 1's full. So who am I missing? Mornek. Fast or I'm not sure. Are you back?
Yeah, I just got back. I'll go fast.
Sweet.
So Mornak, what you might have missed before you make the decision, they kind of clambered up the walls and all that. So
Yep, they're up on the ceiling, so out of melee range at the moment.
But in range of darts.
Certainly are. Alrighty, let's see who's the fastest of the group. Is going to be Dre is up first.
Yeah, this is not a problem for me. I'm just going to throw my spear at the nearest one.
and I will reach out and kind of create a tip of ice on the front of his spear, and you get a boom for it.
That's going to hit for sure. Oh, and a boon as well? Oh, man. That's going to hit. That's like a 25.
Totally.
All right. Does it do any extra damage? Or is it just...
Not unless you have an ability that
Not
grants
unless
it.
your ability goes over 20.
Yep.
Certain abilities will.
No, I mean the ice tip. The ice tip, does that do any damage?
No, it just adds to your attack, but certain attacks and abilities, depending on your class, if your attack goes over a score of 20, you get bonuses. I don't know what your attacks do.
Yeah, that's Swift Strike. It does nothing. It doesn't trigger.
Oh, okay.
Well, and I think the cleric's boon ability that he gives out to everyone, when he gets higher level, he can give you extra damage. But
Yeah.
that's at higher levels.
I think 5th level I can start doing that.
Well, the little blight's going to take 8 damage from the spear being thrown at him.
Nice. Yep. It will bury itself into the ceiling above. You'll be able to still reach up and pull it out, but I'll just pin this thing to the ceiling above you. And let's see. Dre is done. Who would be next? Mornak. He would be next.
Okay. I'm going to go ahead and let's do another explosive dart.
Let's see. Actually, there's 2 left, and they both have 1 health each, so you will take them both out. So just go ahead and describe what you do.
Mornak's
your
going to
spell
lift
looks like.
his hand, and 3 darts are going to dart from it, They're little balls of magical energy that glow blue, and they just slam into both of these twig things, and they explode.
Yes. And you'll see beside you, Mornak, as Drag gets ready to kind of swipe at one with his axe, but they explode for future use. Since NPCs in this game are a little bit different, I don't have to worry about them as much. In turn, they grant different abilities. So whenever Drag is in a combat with you, since he's hanging out with you guys and helping out, anybody can use it once per round, but he adds 1d6 to your damage roll. As long as he's around, basically. So basically, it's like him helping you and getting a swipe in with your attack. So if you want to use that, you just have to say so, but it's up to you guys who uses it and when, but only once per round. He grants an extra 1d6 damage. And everything would be quiet in this room. A lot of you are standing there. You can hear the rain and the thunder outside just pouring down. And Victor, I guess you'd be kind of sort of the closest to the door since you closed it. You'll see several thuds and these thick needles or spikes of wood tear into the side of the door and come out the other side. A little bit of pounding, but it sounds like they're just outside the door.
I think Victor would take the hilt of his bastard sword, and as they like start poking through, he'll like pop them, like try to pop them back, so that way like he thinks he's helping, but really he's not. But after like probably a few seconds of that, he will realize basically it's useless, and then he will turn to Vasily and just give him a massive bear hug, lift him up in the air, like still holding him, bear hug, not letting go, and then set him down, pat him on the shoulder, and then go back to ignoring him like he normally does.
Are you all real?
And Victor doesn't like I said, Victor like goes back to ignoring him again because again he's his imaginary goat friend. He's just happy that he's back.
Real as we were yesterday. What happened to you?
I was succumbed by mist, obscured my sight. I was whisked away to a forest. As if all I could see was silhouette shapes of trees. As far as I could see, mist, obscuring everything. It was almost like my forest that I used to live in, except a twisted mockery of it. I saw faces every now and then, all in the deep parts of the mist. And for what seemed like forever, every time I would try to sleep, something would wake me up, a sound. But other than that, it was quiet. No animals, no birds, no sounds of any sort other than the muffled thud of my own feet. And it was in this solitude that I existed for I don't even know how long. I swear it was months. But if you say it was only yesterday that I left, then no doubt some twisted joke of magic has been played on me.
That sounds a lot like how we arrived here in the first place. Well, you're back. That's what's important.
I don't know if that's good or not, seeing where we're at.
Mudd will look back at the banging at the door and say, we should move forward, find a defensible position. Silly.
I raise my hand and my shadowfall blade dissipates.
Vasily, this is Dre. As quickly as you left, he appeared.
And from whence did you come, Dre?
I'll kind of brush the lank kind of hair out of my face and look at Vasily and give him a nod and say, probably isn't the best time to talk about this, but 6 down and I count 12 left. At good odds.
So is Dre like ignoring Vasily as well, or?
No, I'll nod to sort of
Oh, okay.
Vasily, but you know, for Dre, it's very much about we got business.
Okay. So
Yeah, I'm
okay.
checking.
So yeah, technically he's being ignored, but not like how Victor's doing it. Gotcha. Um, Victor's actually. You did say there was another door, right?
Yep. So the room you're in, it's, what is it, 10 by 15 little closet area. You can see some old broken barrels to the side, some corking materials, a couple branding irons. There's this chandelier type thing that hangs from the ceiling that gives off light. It looks more than I could recognize it is. It's just like been cast magically with light that gives off light in this room. Um, and then there's a door, the one that goes back outside, but there's another door that leads further into the building. And you can see Drag is up to it right now, and he's sort of crouching down on the ground, his nose to the small gap underneath the door. It's like sniffing the air.
Okay. Victor's gonna go to the door as well and just be listening, while everyone else is kind of talking because like he's also in that serious business mode. Um, so do you want like a perception check?
Yep, give yourself a perception check.
How about a 23?
Please. You will smell this really sweet, grapey sort of wine smell, but it smells sickly sweet, like a very, very sugary drink of some sort. That's the most noticeable thing right away. But as you put your ear up to it and you listen, you can definitely hear every now and then this muffled voices. It's very primitive sound. You're not sure what they're saying. It's not a language you recognize. And you can hear occasionally a heavy thump, and it sounds like animals skittering across the floor. There's definitely something or some things on the other side.
Can I tell how many or just?
Um, Not really. It sounds like between there's this heavy thump and then this muffled voice, the skittering, it's at least a handful.
Okay. So I'm gonna like start doing hand signals to the group, like even if they're still talking. Like Victor's like trying to relay messages but being quiet, so he's like doing a bunch of hand signals to the group. Whether they pay attention to him, that's up to them.
Drag will look at you sort of confused, Victor, but he'll just mime whatever you're doing back it towards you.
Okay, like I'm because in Victor's like trying to talk to the rest of the group, and he's just like talking to me. So it's just like a whole bunch of jumble mess at this point.
What do the rest of you do?
How is the door behind us holding up?
Um, if you had to guess, it would probably last a good few more minutes. It's a nice, heavy, steel reinforced door. It's nothing's coming through anytime soon, but they're definitely hacking away at it. You can hear the heavy thuds of their axe and these the big wooden thorns coming through every now and then. They're working at it.
Either way, we need to put more room between us and them. Victor, is the door safe?
Do you have any military background whatsoever, Mud?
No.
Okay. Dre would probably pick up on this because he does have military background. Basically, he's relaying that there is sound coming from, like, he's not saying anything. He's doing all hand signals, but basically referring that there is people on the other side, and sounds like a handful, basically. So whether Dre relays that or not, that's kind of up to him.
Yeah, so I will relay that, but I'm also quietly confident, like Dre is quietly confident that they're in quite a defensible position, and those doors were used as a bottleneck before, and they could be used as a bottleneck again. So, in a way, like, would it be possible for me to look around and see if there is a better alternative, or if this is a good place to kind of have a fight?
The door would definitely serve as somewhat of a bottleneck. It's a bigger door, so probably two people at a time could come through. The twig blades themselves are much smaller. Up to six can come through at a time. I mean, they would probably swarm in pretty quick, but they're not very strong either, except for the druids. You don't know much about them, but
I do know that, I mean, this is a little bit metagamey, but I do know that Mud has a lot of crowd control, and when you add crowd control elements to a very small space, it goes pretty well for the players. So yeah, Dre's of a mind of we're in a pretty good defensible position, and this is kind of where we should hold if we're gonna fight and wait for this diversion.
But yeah, in Dre's defense there, he did see Mud basically turn the fog into a death storm.
Yeah, I saw you shoot a whole lot of death and kill like I think it was 6 blights. So he sees weapons in all of you, and he's always sort of judging and gauging your effectiveness in combat.
Does everybody think? Do we hold here, move forward? We don't know what's on the other side of this door, what could come in behind us.
I'm going to go over to the door and cast Sense Magic.
The door leading further into it?
Yeah.
Okay. What does Sense Magic?
You know if there is any ongoing magical effects in the area and from what points they originate in a 5-yard radius.
Right. Within the radius, you don't detect anything super strong, but beyond that, there's definitely something magical in the room beyond. It's hard for you to tell if it is these blight things, if they're magical or not. You're not really sure. You get the sense that they're summoned or conjured of some sort. But there's also a heavy necromancy sort of feeling coming from the room beyond.
This is not good. Sensing some sort of necromantic magic in the room beyond.
All the more reason not to go in there and stay here and fight.
Unless they're waiting for the blights to come through the door, then it's coming out.
Does the door into the next room open into the next room or into this antechamber we're in?
Let's see. It opens into the next room. So on your side, it does not bar or lock. It would on the other side.
Changes things.
I'm going to quietly, as possible, see if the door is unlocked or, I don't want to open it. I kind of want to give it an inch or two to see if it's barred or locked.
Slide over. It's basically a heavy iron handle that lifts up a little bit. And yeah, move over and lift it up. You can feel the knob or the internal mechanisms engage and the soft click. And looks like it opens inward. It'll open maybe an inch or so. You don't open it all the way, but it's not locked or barred from the other side. It's totally open.
What quality of door is it?
It'd be the same as the one-headed out. So it's a heavy wooden door with reinforced steel bands.
So it'll be another few minutes before they could knock through that one.
Yep.
So, would it be feasible for, say, me and Dre to step through the door, and you guys stay behind, throwing your spells at the enemy, or should me and Dre stay on this side of the door, blocking the door, and you guys behind, throwing spells and let them basically in here? Because if we do it outwards, we can always fall back and shut the door, versus if they're coming into the room, we can't necessarily shut the door because it opens inward, not.
I like the second one. If there's necrotic magic on the other side of this door, then you and I going first might be more of a detriment.
Are either of you proficient with a crossbow? I can give you mine.
Yeah, I think I am. Oh yeah, I would be.
Yeah, it's just a simple weapon.
Victor would, of course, he's ignoring Vasily, but he would pull out a shield and kind of give it a toss up in the air, and then kind of put it back behind his back. Of course, Vasily wasn't there. He did do a Captain America throw the shield kind of deal. So
that's his ranged weapon.
Yeah, it sucks, but I mean that's what he does. Technically, he does have a sling, but he likes the shield now.
He likes the shield after one failed attack.
Oh yeah, Victor is a very weird and complex character.
It was a coolness factor about it. Yeah, you guys will see several more thuds against this door. It'll begin to split a little bit, and you can see the head of an axe bury itself through, and then sort of rip free. This eye of this druid peer through this chunk of wood that's starting to spit out. And as you jab him in the eye, but this grappling claws of some of these blights start tearing between a few doors, and they're getting it down pretty quick.
I think Victor's like gonna, seeing this, he's gonna go to the door going in, and he's like about to open it kind of deal, let them in, and he's just looking at the others, making sure they're on the same page as him before he does it.
I load my crossbow and just put it on one of the bales of hay or something nearby, just if someone wants to use it.
Yeah, I'll take the crossbow up and I'll. Can I start shooting the crossbow through the door actually, and putting a little bit of hurt on them as they try to break through the door?
Yeah, you can. I'll say you don't have to roll or anything. You'll be able, as one kind of pops up, and bury a crossbow bolt in it, and you'll hear it scream and screech as it falls back out of the way. But
Okay, well I might just cover the party by doing that while they decide what they want to do going forward.
Is Mud a melee character? Like, I know he can do range, but is he half and half?
He can try.
Okay. Well, I'm wondering if we shouldn't have you and the NPC guy, whose name is not Dre.
drag.
Yeah, him too. Like, staying at the other door just in case if they come in that way, and then me and Dre at the inner door.
Actually, and Mud's going to say this in character. We don't know what's through here, but we know we have trouble coming. Let's work our way into that room. We could use this door to slow down the blights if they get in. I'll hold the line for now and shut the door when we have to. We need to move further in.
Alrighty.
I just have this sinking suspicion that if we stay here, whatever's on the other side is going to come out to us anyway as soon as that door is down. Then we're going to be pinched between the two of them.
Exactly.
So, we going in? Like, Victor's ready. Like, he's kind of chomping at the bits to get some action. Sadly, his last action was very non-exciting for him. Is that person okay?
Yeah,
I'm
someone's
sorry.
dying.
Yeah, and Mud will say, move in. I'll hold this side until I can't anymore.
Victor will then, if anybody else wants to take the lead, like, by all means, but Victor will open the door if no one else does.
Opening the door headed further in, correct?
Yes, that's what I'm assuming. That's what we want, right? Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Let's see, what do you got?
Charge.
So yeah, behind you is a few more splinters of the door break. You can see part of the handle comes loose. Give it maybe within another minute or so, these things will be swarming through the door behind you, Mud. As you sort of hold the flanks there for the moment, as you reach forward and click this thing open, Victor, are you just jumping in, or are you slowly opening the door? What do you do?
When there wasn't that much stuff in there to begin with. You could have easily-
Sorry, I was typing in chat. If we're on the notion of we're going through, I think Victor will like kind of slam it open for that shock and awe moment to kind of catch everyone, hopefully inside the room, as a surprise, and then he's just going to beeline it for the closest person and start hacking at it.
Perfect. So, yeah, as you swing open that door, all of you were affronted by this very, very sickly, sweet smell of fermenting wine. You see this room ahead. There's 4 large vats in this room, about 20 feet in high, maybe 15 feet in diameter, huge wooden things just full of, well, you can assume it is wine, you can smell it anyway. Each one, let's see, 15. There's a wooden staircase in the center that leads up to a balcony, a second floor, and the whole balcony itself is rimmed with a glass window that looks down into this room. You can see stacked underneath this balcony all sorts of old wine barrels and crates, bales of hay, and other supplies that would go into this. There's a door off to your left as well, Victor, that's like a big heavy barn door that would slide. It's currently closed. But you'll see four of these small little blight things scurrying across the floor away from you to the far end of the room, which is 40 feet away. And they disappear behind one of these large vats. You look around. Up on the balcony above you, you can see one of these druid-like figures. I'll put a picture of him over in the Facebook chat in a moment. And it has this bottle that it has, and it steps over next to one of these vats, and you can see it's dumping in whatever this stuff is into one of the vats at the far end of the room. And its head will snap up as you open the door and rush in. Beside it are two more of these blight things, but they're different. They're a little bit bigger, about the size of yourself, Victor. A little more humanoid in shape, and they're just covered in thick grape vines. You can see grapes hanging off of them, and the big grape leaves that cover the bodies. And all of them will look into your direction. You can hear this, again, this really heavy slam and thump from within one side of this vat on the farthest side of the room. And
Okay. If it is all possible, I would love to Captain America shield that person into the wine that they just poured that stuff into.
there is a big, heavy glass window in front of them.
A shield can go through glass, right?
You can
Right.
certainly try. It has hit points, so basically it depends on how much damage you deal to it. But you could certainly try.
That's a bummer.
I'll give you a quick attack or a quick action since you're the first one into the room before they're ready. What do you do?
Is there any way to get into that room that they're in?
Yeah, it's a balcony up above, but there's a pair of stairs in the middle of the room that lead up to the balcony above.
And there's no other people to fight in the room because the blights just exited basically on the other side, right?
Yeah, you've seen them go to the far end of the room. They didn't go through the doors at the far end or leave. At least not that you can tell. They just look like they're hiding at the far end behind the largest vat at the end.
Okay, I think what Victor would try to do is relay as much information to the others about where the enemy is. So basically telling them about the four blights. I think it was four.
Mhm.
At the bottom, hiding on the far side, and then there's a druid and two bigger trees upstairs.
Yep.
I'm heading upstairs, and with that, he's going to make a mad dash for the center stairs to try to get up it.
Let's see. You would be able to make it all the way over to the center of the stairs, so just at the base of the stairs, headed up. And we will be enter initiative. Behind you, Mud, you can see the door cracks a few times more as these things are waiting to get through. Oh, good. So who would like to go fast? Or slow? Or whatever you want to do.
Go fast.
Slow for me.
I think slow for Victor as well.
Let's see. Victor's through. Okay. Mornak and Vasily.
I'm going slow.
Vasily is slow and Mornak. Fast or slow? Oops. You're muted.
Sorry, fast.
Fast. Got you.
Or actually, I'm sorry, slow.
Slow.
Now
Gotcha.
that I think about it.
Let's see if I can sort. Oops. Hold on, let me get my notes here. There we go. Alrighty. In that case, Dre, you would be up first. The others, or at least from what Victor told you, you can't see anything from where you're at, but he did tell you that there's four blights he saw go into the far end of the room. And as you come up to the doorway and kind of peek in, you can see the two larger blight creatures up on the upper balcony and the druid behind this heavy glass wall that kind of goes around him. And then he is headed up the stairs, Victor is. So what would you like to do?
What would be the most accessible to shoot with the crossbow?
You don't see the blights at the moment. You could try to shoot the things, but they have the heavy glass window in front of them. So
I'll try to shoot the druid if he's got the heavy glass window between him and I.
All right. Yeah,
So-
you'll
before he rolls, from where I'm at, am I able to see the glass and all as well?
Yes.
So when he fires, I'll actually chill the glass to make it a little more brittle, giving him a boom.
Nice. Okay. Yep. You'll automatically hit the glass. I just need your damage roll.
It's
Okay.
2d6 damage.
Yep.
Oh,
How
snap.
does 9 damage sound?
Ooh, nice. You'll see this cracking. It's brittle from the freezing of the things. And the bolt itself will go about halfway through the glass, puncturing a hole through it, and you just see it has that spider webbing effect that goes across this whole glass, bits and pieces starting to fall. Any good blow will take that out and probably pass right through to the druid next time you shoot something at him, as that pain is mostly gone. That puts... No. So at the far end of this room, everybody will hear this heavy thud, and then another heavy thud.
Oh God!
This far back side of the room where this huge vat is, everybody looks in. You will see what looks to be this fleshy colored hand come up over the side of it and grab a hold of it and start to pull itself up. It'll be this mixture of rotting flesh, bone, plant-like matter, swampy. It smells absolutely horrendous as soon as it breaks free from the lid. It begins to pull itself over the side, this huge, grotesque, almost like an amoeba-shaped growth that's pulling itself out. Every now and then you can see the formation of a hand or an arm or a limb start to pull itself out. It'll clamber over the side and move forward. It'll actually be able to move right up to you, Victor. Lucky for you. Let's see, what do we got? Let's see, Victor, I got a 16 and a 19 to hit you.
Yeah, both of those are going to easily hit.
All right. You can see it's not quite fully up to you, but when it lashes out, you see these huge vines erupt from the side of it, and they sort of knot together into this fist that comes around, grabbing a hold of you. Ooh, 10, 14, 17 points of damage as this thing slams into the side of you. I need a strength challenge roll with 2 banes, please.
Okay, so a strength challenge roll with 2 banes. Oh, that's going to be a 0.
Nice. It has no problem doing that. And you can feel as this thing slams into you, it kind of backhands you into the side of one of those other vats that you're next to. And then you can feel all these vines start wrapping around you, and it gives you a yank, pulling it in. You can feel this thing sort of coalesce, begin to smother around you. That's going to require another strength challenge roll with another 2 banes.
Okay, and you did say it was 17 damage?
Yep.
Okay, I would like to immediately use my triggered action to basically heal my healing rate to make it just be 10 damage.
Okay.
Go ahead and do that, and then another strength. Come on. Okay, that's a 12. That's not bad.
Nope, that'll be a success. So you were okay for the moment, but as soon as this thing drags you forward and starts to move around you, the stench just sickens your stomach, and you can feel a little bit dizzy between the fermenting wine and the sweetness of that and the rotting flesh and vegetation of this thing. And it'll let out this groan as it continues to move forward. Oof. Behind it, you'll start to see these small twig blades pour out of this vat as well. 4, 8, 12, 18 of them in total as they just spill forth. And they're not going to worry about you, so they're just headed up. They're just going to take movements all towards you. 3 of them grouped in groups of 3, with each group having 6 blights each. But they're all sort of melding together and crawling over one another as they head towards all of you. But they won't quite reach it. Up above on the balcony, you can see this druid looks down. He takes a few steps, getting behind a new pane of glass that protects him, and he tamps his staff down a few times. Below, all of these twig blades begin to grow these heavy thorns off of their body. More foliage begins to cover, and they get bigger. Spikes cover across their backs, and they sort of take on this bear-like form. Mornak, you are up.
Okay, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and use my psychic powers to regain a casting of explosive dart. And then I'm going to go ahead and shoot explosive dart out. And so that's 3 darts. I'll go ahead hit the 3 that are closest to me.
Okay.
And the extra damage will be 5 points of damage.
5, so 8 total.
Yes.
Gotcha. They'll smash into this one group of blights that's starting to form into this animal-like thing, these big spikes coming off of it. You blow a few of them off to the side, and they just splatter in bits of rotting vegetation and bone. The front flanks of this creature as it stumbles down a bit, but again, they all just sort of wrap around each other and start to reform as it continues to move forward. You still have a move action if you want to take it, Mornak. Oh no, you used your spell to recovery thing. My bad. So no,
Yeah.
You're good. So that puts Mud up next.
So, backup question. When Mornak dropped one of the druids outside, did that affect any of the blights that we noticed?
It did not that you noticed.
All right. So the blights are swarming up. There's the big one.
Yep, there's a big, huge, massive blight thingy, and then 3 of these smaller mobs that are shaped sort of like bears with spikes as they're charging forth. They are short distance away from you right now.
All right. I'm going to step up and kind of just slap my hands together and put out a blast of ice shards. I'm trying to, wherever I need to step to get past everybody and, you know, do this as safely as possible without hitting anybody, but still doing.
What is the range? Is it the 15-foot cone?
It is a. Shit. One page. Water. There we go. Ice blast. A cone 3 yards long. Yes, so 15 foot.
Okay, so yeah, you won't catch Victor and the thing behind that's around him. So you'll be able to hit these mobs, though, all of them.
They need to make an agility challenge roll, which, yeah. So they need to make an agility challenge roll or take half damage.
Both, yes, all of them got a success, so they take half damage, which is going to be...
Which is going to be 4.
Got it. This one that Mornak hit as well, you can see it wasn't fully forming itself back up as your blast hits this thing as well. And again, more of these twig blights blast off to the side. There's only 2 of these single little blights left that are crawling over one another, not able to fully form back into this beast that they were. But the other ones are still banged up a little bit, but they're okay. You moved forward, you got your spell, so you're good. Vasily, you would be up next.
Oh,
Behind you, as you look over, you can see another splits in this door. You figure within the next few seconds, they're going to be coming through that back door behind you from the outside.
is everyone inside now?
Victor already ran in, so you would be the last one to go in.
Okay. So I'm going to move in, and can I close the door as part of my movement, or does that have to be my action?
Yep, you can move that. You can do that. Yep.
Okay. I'm going to move in, close the door, and just drop the latch or whatever is on the other side. I'm just going to fire a shadow dart at that undead thing, the giant's flesh thing.
That's got Victor.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And that's a 14.
That hits.
He takes 7 points of damage, and he has 3 banes for any perception check for the next minute.
Gotcha. And that puts a Victor up as you're wrapped in this thing at the base of the stairs. It's got a hold of you. You can take a full action. You don't have to roll or anything, but you can take a full action to get out of it, or you have 3 banes to do anything else.
Okay, so if I were to try to attack it, it would be at 3 banes.
Correct.
Basically, okay. Bummer. I kind of put a dampers in my plans. So for the full action, it's just going to be a strength contest with any banes, or no?
Nope. If you want to break free, it's just takes it. You don't have to actually roll or anything. It's just a full action. So you basically say that's what you're doing, and you'll break free until your next turn.
Okay, can I flavor it?
Totally. Yeah.
Okay, so then Victor would like to basically take his bastard sword and put it underneath the arms that it's grabbing him and kind of like slice. But it doesn't necessarily cut him his hands off completely if you don't want it that function to
That's
happen
fine.
where he does regen, but basically cuts him enough to where he lets go and Victor just falls down to the floor.
As you slice yourself free, as you do so, you can see that all the tendrils, the roots, and the vegetation thing just continually bind back together in the form wherever you slice bits and pieces off. Even when you take a chunk off of it, the roots will grow out from it, attaching to the main form, and kind of pull itself back together.
Okay.
Yeah.
And also, I would like to make him the target of my prey because it's a triggered action to do it.
Got you. Cool. Up above, you can see these two other humanoid-looking blight creatures next to the druid. Take a few steps back, so behind the panes of glass as well, putting their backs up to the wall behind, and they'll take their hands and they just slam them down into the floorboards underneath them. And all of you will see tendrils, roots growing out from their arms. I need an agility challenge roll from Mud and from Dre. With one bane.
One bane. Oh my god. Oh, it's a natural one. With a 6 on the dice. 7.
All right. And
Kill me.
Wait, a natural one with a 6 on the bane die?
Yeah, dude.
That's a -5.
Oh yeah, because it's a bane, not a boon, wasn't it? Shit.
Yes.
Oh, and don't forget to add your stat because I've been doing that too. Like if you have any positive on whatever stat you roll, don't forget to add it.
That would be...
Probably not enough to help, but
Well, no, but I keep forgetting my stats. Like I just been doing straight off the die.
So this is a challenge roll
yes.
to resist an attack.
Yes.
So Bud's not really looking where it's coming from, but all of a sudden electricity kind of pushes around him and knocks him to one side. I'm expending a level 2 spell slot to give myself 2 boons.
Okay.
Using my divine cause. So that's only 1 boon, right? Because there was a bane.
Yep.
For 15 total.
Nice. All right. Unaffiliated. All right, Dre, in that case, you're going to take 3 points of damage. You'll see these thorny vines erupt underneath your feet, Dre, and begin wrapping around your ankles. One will come up, sort of go around your shoulder. All these thorns sprout from it, digging into your flesh. You're going to be immobilized, which means you have 0 speed, and all attack rolls against you get 1 boon. You can break yourself free as an action. You can cut the vines free.
Okay.
And then let's see, Mud. You do not get anything. You don't unaffiliate, so you get a thing. Nope. You'll be able to just step out of the way of these things, Mud, pulling yourself away. A few of them will start to wrap around your ankles and such, but you're able to pull yourself free.
So in that case, what I think actually happens is Mud doesn't even see it coming, and as they start to wrap, just little bolts of electricity start shooting out of his skin and knocking the things off.
Nice. Beautiful. It's nothing there. And that would be the end of the round. Let's see, Dre, you are going to be immobilized in place, unable to move. The rest of you, things are looking a little grim, but would you like to go fast or slow?
I will go slow.
Gotcha.
So there's the one zombie monster.
There's let's see. It's going to be 2 mobs of these blights that sort of are shaped like bears, along with 1 random blight still left. There's the giant mound thing, and then there's the druid and 2 of the other humanoid blights up on the balcony.
So the druid and the 2 humanoid blights, they're out of distance for the moment.
Yep. Well, they're within like shooting range, but they're behind the glass panes as well. So
okay, I'll go fast.
I will also go fast.
Let's see. Vasili's fast. Mud is fast. Mornak and Victor.
I'll go fast.
Mornak is fast and Victor.
Fast.
Alrighty. And let's see. Let's sort this and.
How badly damaged is that one light mob look that was hit before?
There's the ones they took. They took all of the blights out in that group except for one random one, so it's just one little random blight still left.
Okay.
So not bad at all. In that case, let's see. The fastest one will be Mornek. You are up first.
Okay. So.
Also, sorry to interrupt. Don't forget, Drag is there. He can add a 1d6 to your guys' damage rolls. All right, Mornek. Sorry. Go ahead.
So what can I see that's within range of darts?
Everything will be in with range. You do know that the two humanoid blights and the druid upstairs have glass in front of them, which is protecting them. It's up to you if you want to try and blast through it. Otherwise, there is two large bear-like creatures that are all blights. There's one giant one that has Victor in place, and one random little blight that's running around.
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and shoot the one that's holding Victor down.
Okay.
And
I thought I broke free.
Well, yeah, you did, but
okay.
Yeah.
I just wanted to clarify.
Yeah.
And I'll do the unerring darts, so it's the 7 that are coming.
7. Gotcha.
And I'll put all of those on the same one.
Perfect. They'll blast in bits and pieces of the flesh and tendrils. Foliage of this thing just blast off around you. But it still holds its ground for the time being. Mud, you are up.
All right. So we got the other iron door closed.
Yep.
So that delays them a little bit. The two bear ones are pretty close together to each other.
Yep.
And one of them has drag.
He's wrapped up by tendrils and roots and vines coming up from the floor, which you assume to be from one of the humanoid blights up on the balcony.
All right. Immediate issues. I'm going to thicken the air around the two bears with one hand and then fire off a forked lightning bolt that will jump between the two of them.
Okay.
Giving myself a boon, I make a will attack against their agility.
12 is their agility.
22.
Beautiful.
Which triggers an extra d6 of damage.
Alrighty. I'm going to say you definitely wipe out that poor little one blight, but...
All right. 7 plus 2, so 9. Is anybody against me using Drag's ability here to add another d6 to try to get rid of both of these big bear things?
Yeah, take it. It's yours, man.
Go for it.
That's another 6.
I'm going to throw this out there only if you throw in like a description of what he's doing. If Morgan's cool with
totally. How does Drag help you out?
So I actually think Drag's kind of coming in between them, and I will actually fire I'll thicken the air with one hand, fire the lightning bolt right into his sword, and it jumps to the two creatures.
Nice.
As he's working his way in between them. And it just starts zapping them.
Beautiful. One of these things will just explode. Bits of foliage, wood, tendrils, meat, bone, as it splatters across the wall. The other one, bits and pieces go flying off. All that's left by the time the smoke and crackling energy disappears is 2 single little blights that are left. That would be Mud. Vasily, you are up.
Okay, so there's just 2 little blights, the big zombie, and what's up above.
Correct.
Okay, well, I am going to expend one of my... no, we need to take the zombie guy. I'm just going to cast Shadow Dart at him once again. So I'm going to make an intellect attack against his agility.
Which is 10, I believe it was.
Okay, good. I rolled a 10.
Yeah, 10.
Okay, so he takes 10 points of damage.
Ouch. Got it.
So just this shadow just whirls around my hand and just fires off into a spear-like dart and slams into his chest.
You can see this darkness sort of crawling between the vines, between the flesh of this thing. And this, what looks like a face, sort of pushes out against it, and this screech sort of sound before it's pulled back into this blob. See the Victor, you are up.
All right, so it's time to return the favor, and Victor's going to take his bastard sword and try to hit the big guy that basically smacked him. See if he can do any damage.
Okay.
Oh, really? Victor's just going to be a meat shield today. He got a 5.
That is not quite enough. Swing through. Your sword will slice into this, but it almost immediately, the wound closes right back up. Knots of rooting and vegetation closing the gap once again. Unfortunately, Victor, that puts this creature up as it's right there in front of you. Again, you just see this huge mound-like arms form out of vines and foliage as they come up and over. And it's going to be an 18 and a 23.
Yeah, both of those will.
5, 6, 7, 12, 13, 14 points of damage. Because once again, these do this, and I need a strength challenge roll with 2 Banes.
You said 14 points? Or okay. And 12. Well, no, 12 plus... Oh, I pass anyways, but I need to start remembering my strength, so that would be 14 for me.
Nice. So it does not wrap you up this time, but again, you can still smell that sweet, sickly smell that's making you more and more nauseous with each passing moment. Let's see, the 2 twig blights, they ain't going to be able to do much, but they're just going to charge forward. You're the closest to them, Mud, so that one totally misses. Yeah, they don't do anything. They all scramble up next to you, Mud, swiping at you a little bit, but not even getting through your armor or really doing anything. Ooh. The druid is up, and up above, he calmly walks across this balcony to the top of the stairwell, staring down at you, Victor, as you're engaged with this thing. He'll bring his hands up, and he can see what looks to be this knot of wood in his hand, and he holds on to it. And all around the floor around you, Victor, you can feel the floor rumble a little bit. Let's see. I need a save.
Victor's going to kind of lock eyes with him and just say, no.
Let's see. Will versus your agility. What is your agility?
Agility is at 11.
That would be it. You feel the floor rumble, and then this whole group of spikes just erupt from the floor underneath you, tearing up into you. Ooh, it's going to be 21, so it's going to be 10 points of damage. The spikes, rocks, and thorns just erupt from the floor, piercing up through the soles of your feet, through your legs, thighs, into your gut. And they rupture up and then just rupture back down into the ground. And he'll slowly walk over to the side again.
If you don't mind, as these vines shoot up, like it literally launches Victor up in the air. And then he slowly kind of falls back down and just slams into the ground as he is now at his maximum hit points. Or no, I'm higher than that.
You would end it, whatever the even amount is.
Yep. So okay, so it'll be at 30.
Yep.
Alrighty.
And that puts Dre up. Behind you, you can hear that the door on the other side of the room has given way as these things start to pour into that little closet area. They're going to be trapped in there at the moment, but you can hear them immediately start pounding at the door to get into this room. At the moment, they're behind you, though, and not a threat.
I'll relay that information, and will remain immobile in the thorns. I'm not taking damage from the thorns, correct? Just
the one time. You just immobilized until the end of this turn.
Okay. I will not spend this turn cutting myself free. Can I still see the druid?
Yep.
Okay. I'm just going to take an action to reload and then another action to shoot.
All right.
Druid.
Works. Um, he is not fully behind the pane of glass, so you actually have an open shot at him. Go ahead and make an attack roll.
Baby! Alrighty. That would be an 18 to hit.
That's a hit.
Sweet. And it's 2d6. How does boxcars sound, baby? How about 12 damage?
Ouch.
Well, don't you get another D6 from combat prowess?
No, he's not a fighter.
Not a level 3 fighter.
Oh, okay.
Yes, just as it comes aside, you see this bolt bury into his shoulders, and he'll sort of fling it back and turns snarling at you. And he points a finger at you, Dre, and you can see this wide grin start to cross across his face. The vine blights are up, and they'll cross over and again just slam their hands down into the floor, the roots crossing across the floorboards once more. With Victor down, I'm going to say this one, Vasily and Dre again. So I need agility challenge rolls with 1 Bane from both of you.
Will I still be with 1 Bane because I'm immobile, or will it be more?
Yep, you still have 1 Bane from that too. So
Okay.
That's a 2 total.
Start with that. Let's do some maths. 15.
all right, you are good, Dre. So you're not going to take any damage. Vasily, you're going to take 12 damage and become immobilized as these roots and thorns erupt from the ground. Vines start wrapping around you, and they'll just start dragging you down to the floor, going in between your armor and your flesh, piercing, trying to tear away at you. You will be immobilized to the end of the next round. And that is everybody has been up. What do we got? 9 o'clock.
No longer immobilized?
Correct.
Okay, cool.
Let's do one more round and see where we are after that, since it's 9 o'clock. So, who would like to go fast or slow?
I'll go slow.
How far is Victor from me?
He would be 5, 10, 15, about 20 feet.
Okay, I'll go slow then.
Vasily, let's see. Gotcha. So Mud is slow. Got it. Let's see.
Slow.
Vasily. Got it. Mornak.
I've got a question for you. I've got
Certainly.
spell recovery that I can use to heal damage
Mhm.
and to get a spell back.
Mhm.
Can I do that without having any health gone?
Yes, you can. Yep. Just
Okay.
get the spell back from it, basically. Yep, totally.
Then I want to go slow.
Let's see. Mornak is slow. Who am I missing? Dre?
Dre will go. How far away is the druid from me?
He is 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30 feet. So he'd be over and up the stairwell, which is 30 feet, if you wanted to get right up to him. So one
would he
move.
would he be within range of my spear if I threw it?
Yes. He'd be short range, so yeah.
Okay, I will go fast.
Nice. And where are you, Trey? It's fast. Is that everybody? Yep. Alrighty, let's sort this and do one more round. Victor, you were up first as I need a death roll. Give me that 1d6. On a 1, you're in trouble.
So what happens on a 1?
On a 1, you basically have until the end of this round for somebody to save you or you are dead.
Awesome.
Next up,
No pressure, Mud.
no pressure. Next up would be Dre.
Okay, yeah, I'm going to throw my spear at this motherfucker.
Alright.
And I'm going to use drag as well.
And
Okay.
I am going to kind of clear the air to help him get the spear to where it's going using a prayer. So you get a boon for that.
Sweet. Thank you very much. Oh yeah, that's going to hit. That's going to hit in a big way. That's over 28.
Sweet.
Now I've got Swift Strike. I think it's Swift Strike. The spear is a finesse weapon, even if it's thrown. And then my triggered action would be able to attack the same target again before the end of my turn, would I then be able to throw a dagger at him at the same distance?
Yeah, as long as you got another weapon to throw. So, yep.
Yeah, I've got 2 daggers on me as well, so I'm all about them throwing knives and throwing spears. Well, let's do the damage first, because you might die. What do we got? 2d6 plus drag is 3d6.
Ooh, pretty good chance of taking
3
him.
4s. 12 damage.
12. Let's do my math here. Yes, he will go out. So go ahead and describe what you do.
Sweet. So I'm going to give Drag a look, and he's a little bit slower, but do I notice that he has any specific weapons on him at all?
Drag, he has a large axe.
Okay. So I'm just going to give, because the druid's kind of got his attention on me, I'm going to give Drag a nod, like as if to indicate, like, rush him or something, and Drag will sort of turn around and start lumbering towards this druid, which will take the druid's attention. And it's at that moment that I throw the spear when the druid's kind of looking at where I'm looking, deflecting his attention. And it just manages to get in between his, like one of the soft spots of his armor.
Nice. Yeah, it's sort of a low-cut leather vest type thing he has on, animal hides and stuff. So you hit him right in the square in the chest. He'll fall back and then gets pinned to the wall behind him from the end of your spear. He'll let out this gurgle, and you can see this thick red blood just pour down his chin. All of the blights and everything will sort of stutter a moment as if they were affected by this somehow, but they're still up. But they kind of look like something's wrong. Let's see. Dre is up. This huge mound that is next to you, Victor, just starts to kind of pour over the top of you. Next up would be Mud. So yeah, it's coming in towards you, Mud. You can see it pulls itself across the ground, just these huge arms that come out and kind of slam into the floorboards and pull itself forward. And then it's a flash of all these tendrils of flesh and vine come flashing forward.
That's actually perfect timing. I want to meet it in the middle as it starts coming over Victor. I want to slide down and put my shield up over me and Victor, and then reach over, and all the blood starts to around them starts to freeze over, and the wounds start to ice over as I use a faith healing.
All right. Well, hold on that for just a moment, because he is up before you, just to make sure he don't ruin your day. Oh, what do we got? 16, 21 and 14, 15, 16.
Yes.
Both?
Yeah.
16 points of damage he will do.
Oh. So I kind of fall asleep next to Victor. It's like...
So you don't need to make a strength challenge roll then. So yeah, as you guys will see, but as this spell gets ready to go off, as he's reaching towards Victor, and these vines will just wrap around him. His Mud sort of in mid jump towards Victor, wrap around him and just smash him into the floorboards. You hear the grunt, the snapping of bones, and just a bit of blood that starts pooling underneath this thing as it again just starts pulling itself forward towards Mornak. Let's see. The 2 blights are up. They will charge forward towards you, Vasily. Since you are stuck there, they get an extra boon. I got a 13 and a 19.
The 19 hits.
For 5 points of damage.
Ooh, I go down.
This thing's will swarm over, just clawing, tearing at your face. They get their hooks underneath your jaw and start pulling you down to the ground. Mornak, you are up. You see Mud go down. You see Vasily go down. This thing is pulling itself across the floorboards towards you now.
Okay. I'm going to go ahead and do my spell recovery to get my unerring darts back.
All right.
And then I'll go ahead and shoot it with 7 darts.
Alrighty. Another 7 points. It is still up. Again, you just blast holes in this thing. 1, 2, 3, all the way through. Just big wounds that opened up. They'll slowly start to close back up by the vines and the flesh of this thing. It'll pull itself forward. It's moving much slower. You can see this green ooze pouring from the wounds, mixing with this like thick, viscous sort of bloody liquid. It's definitely damaged pretty bad, but it's still pulling itself forward. Mud, I need a death save from you. Since this would be your official turn. Don't get a 1.
No, get him 1. Join the party. Join the party.
4. So just make a note on your sheet or whatever. Basically, when you do death rolls, you get 3 chances. On a 1, you're basically dying. If it's nothing in between, then you get 3 chances. And if nothing by 3 chances, you're dying. If you get a 6, you get 1 hit point. So you have 1 mark towards death.
Okay. Death rolls a d6.
Yes.
I rolled a d20. 2.
All right. So you're still okay for the moment.
You can use your fate point to roll a 6.
Yes.
Oh, I forgot about fate or the fortune.
So did I.
Oh man.
So a 6.
We'll get you 1 hit point.
And will that bring me back to consciousness?
Yep, and you'll still be able to take your action.
I will use my fortune point. As I'm laying there, coughing, I will reach over and faith heal on the victor.
All right.
And that heals. I'm burning a level 2 slot. So that is going to give Victor 7.
All right, Victor. Since he heals you up,
It just freezes and just starts kind of ding as it falls off into little ice shards.
So correct me on this, because he heals me technically for 7. So, and I know you count your damage upwards instead of going down. So technically, I would be at 23 damage. Right.
Well, doesn't it stop?
it stops at, what is your health? What's your max health?
30.
30, so yes, you'd be down to 23.
Okay. That's why I wanted to double check and make sure.
And in that case, you will have your action back, Victor, if you would like to take it. You're forced to go slow since that's already into the slow round, so you'd have an action and a move if you wanted it.
Well, sure, because yeah, let's do that. Stand up and attack this guy. Hopefully, I can get some vengeance. I'm spending a fortune point. Do I get to like re-roll this, or it automatically passes? Or
it automatically passes if you.
Thank God, because I rolled another one. This die is fired. It is fired. I got 3 more to go through. All right, so I automatically hit.
Yep.
So that would be 2d6, 3d6. Because of the forceful strike thing, and it's not necessarily above 20, kind of. So how would that play in a factor?
Nope, it automatically. It's basically as you rolled a 20, so do 20 plus your modifier.
So technically that wouldn't go into effect because I automatically passed the roll, right?
Right.
Okay. Yeah. So 11, 12, 13, 14.
It's still up. What do you do? Go ahead and describe your blow or what it looks like.
I think.
I'm sorry, real quick. You said his roll would be an auto 20.
Yep. Plus his strength modifier.
And if you're
it
went above 20, it would kick in your special ability.
Yeah, if it's 5 and higher of the AC or TN target number, so it would
and 20 or above. So yeah, that would come into play. Yes.
2. Yeah, and plus I had a boon on that. So let me roll another d6. Oh, it's just an extra 1 point.
Every point counts, but that's still not enough. Go ahead and describe what you do, though.
Being on the ground, it just kind of the life is brought back to Victor. He's going to kind of grab his bastard sword and just, as he's like standing up, he's swinging it in a massive arc. And once he stands up to full position, he has the bastard sword up above his head, and he just brings it down with as much force as he can bear. Sadly, it's not enough to bring him down, but he does leave a pretty hefty wound into this creature.
Yes.
Now, I do want to ask, now, since he done that and he can visually see, does the wound start to try to coalesce back together again, or no?
It does. It's not necessarily regenerating. It's just the fact that it's so amorphous that it just kind of blends back in with itself.
Okay.
Like trying to cut slime.
but it's almost like it's at a slower rate, maybe, or I
Yeah.
could just actually see that I've done damage to this thing.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
This thing is just pouring with all sorts of fluids.
Awesome.
Vasily, I need that death roll from you.
Well, I will use my fortune point and roll a 6.
Alrighty.
So I'm on slow round, right?
Yep. So you would be up.
I'm going to use my spell recovery. So that will give me, I will heal 4 points. So that puts me at 5. And I am going to, does anyone mind if I use Drahe's +6?
I think it's already been used this
Yep,
round.
it's already been used by Dre in the very beginning. Yep.
Okay. Then I am going to cast Nightfall Blade, and I'm going to take a slash at one of these things that are right next to me. Am I in obscure darkness or anything?
No, not this room. It's lit up pretty good.
Okay. Okay.
Now, here's a question, Morgan. Can I use my fate point to give someone else a passing roll?
No, you cannot.
Okay.
You can give them a boon.
2 boons, I think it is.
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
So I got a 16.
That's a hit. And you're just doing one of these little blight creatures that are on you?
Yeah, and that was a 5.
That'll take them out.
Yeah, for reference, the fortune points can be spent to either turn your failure into a success, grant 2 boons to another creature, grant 2 banes to another creature, or gain 1 endurance point.
What is the endurance point?
The endurance points can be used kind of like hit die, or like a second wind in D&D, where it's a quick.
Okay.
I think it's half your healing rate.
So it's almost like my catch your breath,
Yes.
where I can heal myself.
Yeah, you can use at any time. You can use your action to burn an endurance point to heal your healing rate. You may only use 1 endurance point per action.
And how long do the endurance points last?
You have a number of them equal to your healing rate.
I think you said half our healing rate. Yeah, because
Oh wait, so
it's 1d3. It's 1d3 after a long rest. But I think we had discussed that it's going to be half the healing rate because that this was more.
Yeah, a little bit deadlier.
oh, we have endurance points now.
Yes.
Well, thanks for telling me this. Like, I would have healed myself a long time ago instead of just sitting there taking damage left and right. Thanks, guys.
I didn't know you did.
Hey, we forgot about the fortune points too.
Yes, fortune points and endurance points are in there.
Okay, let me read endurance points because I've never actually read those.
They're in the cheat sheet because they're actually a side option rule for the system. But they're in that cheat sheet. What does that give us? Vasily, you took that one out. Drag, and he went. So the only 2 up would be in the vine blights. You'll see the vine blights that are upstairs. They move over to this druid that has been pinned to the wall by Dre's spear. And they can see that they press their hands up to it. All of these roots start to grow, start to crawl under his skin. You can see small flowers and buds, small grapes, vines start wrapping around. And it looks like they're turning him into one of these things that they are. Does everybody have time for one more round?
Yeah, I'm good.
I'm good.
I really got to go. I've got to
right,
get
that's
back to work.
Oh, that's cool. Just cover Mornak. Yeah, let's do one more round because you might be able to take most of it out in one round. I'll cover Mornak's. I'll make sure he's safe. Gotcha. Yeah, let's do one more round and then we'll head out for the evening.
My spell recovery, I recovered 1 casting of Shadow Monster.
Okay. Ooh, nice. And
Okay.
I'll cover your action for you, Mornak. Okay, cool.
See you later, Kevin.
See you,
Bye.
See you guys.
See you later.
Clear this up. Oops. And we will do one more round and see what we got. So, who would like to go fast?
I'll go fast.
Celia's fast. Mud is fast. Victor's fast.
Draven.
Mornak fast.
Victor may be slow. Is everyone else basically going fast?
What was Dre doing?
Low.
So Dre's slow, everybody else is fast.
I think Victor's going to go slow.
Boom. All right. In that case, Mornak would be up first. I don't know what I'll just wait and see what you guys do first, and then if I need to, I can use him to wipe something out. So in that case, Mud, you would be up first. This huge thing is right beside you. There's still...
So, if you actually don't mind me flavoring a little bit here.
Totally.
Victor had taken that big old slash, and I'm thinking Mud, as Victor's sword is about halfway through the creature, Mud's going to reach both hands out, and ice starts coming along the sword as it's going through, and he's going to fire lightning through the sword into the creature.
Beautiful.
So that is... well, it's a shock, so I got to do a will against the agility.
Agility is 10.
10.
That's a hit.
All right. So that is 7 more damage.
Go ahead and describe how you destroy this thing.
So like I said, I think it's a joint effort. Victor's sword comes slashing down, and as it starts to slow in the vines, Mud will just reach out and actually, because we're right next to each other, Mud will grab Victor's leg, and kind of a glistening of ice will go up his leg, up his arm, through the sword, and then he'll reach out and fire the little lightning right towards the sword and zap the creature from within as the sword continues through.
Nice. This thing will sort of erupt in static electricity, and as it rolls across the body, parts of it will blow apart. It'll begin to sort of melt in place where it is, letting out these strange screeches and horrific sort of sounds. Yeah, Vasily, you would be up then. There's
Okay.
one blight left on you, which actually is barely even alive. The two upstairs that are fully haven't been hit yet, but they look like they're turning the druid that's dead up there into one of them or something. And,
So the one that's next to me has been damaged?
yep, it looks just barely crawling across the floor.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and try to finish this off with my Nightfall Blade. 17, 18, 19 to hit.
Yep, you'll wipe it.
And it does 2 points of damage.
As you take this one out, you'll hear this heavy thud and a splinter, this crack as you look up, Vasily. You can see that on the other side, the creatures on the other side of this door have been able to break through, and it starts to swing open a little bit. You can hear the hordes coming through and just see a massive swarm. 2 druids in the front as they come through the door, and just a swarm of blights coming behind them. On the other side of the room, Mud, as you blow apart this thing, both Victor, Mud, and Dre, as you're sort of off facing that direction, on the far side of the room, you will see the doors open up, and this druid steps in. He's very tall, muscular. These heavy, thick rags hang off of him, and he has antlers that come growing out of the side of his head that are curling up. And his face itself looks like it's a human skull that's been put under the front of his face. And he scans this room. In his hands, he holds this black, blood-dripping staff that's sort of just leaving a pool of blood at his feet. And he glances around at all of this, turns, shuts the doors behind him, and disappears back out. And I guess it would be Mud. As you see that, you'll hear another door to your side. You look over, and underneath the balcony, there's a doorway that leads further back in. It would be to your right, or sort of behind you. But you look over, you see the door open up, and you see this tall, dark figure standing there. Mist swirls around it. It's a bit silhouetted. You can't quite make out what it is yet. Victor, you are up.
So you said that a druid basically walked in and then turned around and left?
Yep, walked in, looked around, turned around, and left. And then the other door not the. So yeah, that's one side. On the other side, next to Vasily, 2 druids, and it's going to be 16 blights are pouring through the door. And then there's another door to the south where this figure's basically just standing there in the doorway, but it's surrounded in mist and is more of a silhouette at the moment.
Okay. Could I make it to the door that the druid left and open it?
It would be you'd have to go slow.
Which I'm already.
You going? So yes.
Okay. So I think we're gonna take that chance. Because all right, compared to from what we saw of the other druids, this guy looks a little bit more like he's in charge because he's got a fancier headdress. He's got the blood staff. Yeah. So Victor's gonna go after him.
All right. And you can run over, swing open these doors. As you glance around, it looks like it opens up into a stable. There's a large cart full of wine barrels, and you can hear the treading feet. If you look to your right, there's a ramp, like a barrel ramp that spirals up, but you can see his shadow disappear on the wall and just hear his footsteps going up the ramp. So it looks like he's headed upstairs.
Okay, we're gonna try it. I know it's gonna be a heck of a long shot, but it's time for the Captain America shield. Bounce off the wall and see if I can hit him. Like, I got the thing. So, what kind of roll do you want for that?
An agility, just like it would be a ranged attack.
Okay. So I do get an extra bane, or would it be possible to make him my prey, even though like he's technically out of sight?
Probably not this round, only because you just saw him and don't really know anything yet.
Okay, but I do get a normal boon anyways from me being a fighter, so unless you're going to give me a bane for trying to bounce it off the wall, which I'm perfectly happy with too. Like, that makes sense. Actually, let's do that. Let's just make it a straight D20 roll.
Right.
And you said agility?
Yep.
Awesome, that'll be a 15.
You'll see it bounce off. It skitters up the wall, and you can hear a bit of a grunt. Go ahead and roll a damage roll.
Oh, sweet. Well, what do you want a Captain America shield bounce like?
Just do 1d3.
Okay. So I'll just cut a d6 in half then. So that will be a 2.
Right. And you can hear it skip off, and it sort of disappears around the corner. You can hear it sort of thud, and you hear a bit of a grunt. And you'll see your shield sliding back down this ramp, bumping against the feet, and then you just hear a bit of a chuckle from upstairs. I wouldn't do that. And you hear this guttural, strange, primitive speaking in the distance. Dre, that would put you up.
Wait. So I will use my nimble recovery, and I will heal some of my damage, and then I get to move up to half my speed without triggering any free attacks if anyone's near me. And I'm going to run up.
You're good.
I just want to run upstairs and recover my spear, but there's two of those humanoid blights up there, correct?
Yep.
Cool. So on my way up, I'll would I be able to get into range to throw a dagger at one of them?
Moving half your speed, I think so. Yes, you would.
Okay, so I'll throw a dagger at one of them and see what we can do here.
Yeah, you'd get about halfway up the stairwell.
Yeah, easy. Oh yeah, that'll hit. That's what, a 22?
Yep.
Sweet. Actually, because it's over 20, does that beat it by 5 or more?
I think so. Let's see. Defense is 16, so yes.
Cool. Okay, so my first dagger, the damage will be 9 damage.
Gotcha.
And then I'll throw my second dagger at the same target. Oh, this one might not hit. 16.
Right on the money.
Oh, baby! Let's do some damage. Cool, yeah, 5 damage.
Oof. Ooh, nice. You bury both of these daggers. You can see that one of these creatures steps back, a little bit of a screech as it turns around, and when it does so, it pulls free these roots that it was putting into this druid that you have pinned to the wall with your spear. And bits and pieces of his flesh pull free from his bones as he does so, and it looks like you've interrupted whatever it is they were doing. Both of them will turn their heads towards you, though. You can see this bright, insidious sort of red glare in their faces and start moving towards you. Let's see, you killed the last blight. So the vine blights are up. Yeah, they will both move towards you then, in that case, Dre. Let's see. 13, 15, and... not very good. 13. Do either of those hit you?
15 hits, the 13 missed.
That was their damage. 2 points of damage. As it comes forward, you can just see it lashes out with a vine, sort of bitch slaps you with its tendril for the moment. But it doesn't do much more than that. Both of them are going to step up to the front of the stairwell, basically blocking the path from you getting to your spear and stopping you from reaching the druid, and stand there in front of you.
Cool.
And let's see. Yeah, we'll have to call it here for the night. But before we do, as this will be the end of the round, you will hear this gnarly guttural sound coming from the ramp where you are at, Victor. And you will see what looks to be vines crawling down the ramp towards you. Back in the room, Vasily and Mud, you guys will see this figure standing in the door. He seems to be watching all of this. Takes a few steps out and this mist swirls around him. And you'll see this arrogant-looking fellow, his foppish sort of hair, and he looks around and, welcome, friends, welcome. It looks like you're having a bit of a trouble here. As Jack smiles, you can see he pulls his saw blade from his sheath, this wicked-looking sword. I bet you'd like a bit of a hand, eh? Mud, it's been a long time since I seen you. It's been, what, a day now? A day, yes. Well, let's get to it, shall we? I'll help you out. You will owe me one.
So this actually leads perfectly into something I wanted to backtrack on for a second. As Bud sees Jack and reaches up to give him a middle finger, we kind of flash back for a second as Victor went to run away from Bud and heard a bit of a cracking noise and glances down, and one of Mud's fingers is iced over and still stuck to his leg. So he has no middle finger as he lifts his hand.
Beautiful. And yeah, we will call it from there as Jack makes a grand entrance into the room. Let me stop the